welcome to my presentation on persuasion. Today I'm going to be talking about, should parents tell their children that Santa Claus is real? And this is a fitting argument because it is Christmas, December. I'm going to start off with a story. So my cousin and I, we grew up in the same way. So when we were young, we were never told that Santa Claus was real and fitting. So my cousin one year went back to school, in elementary school, and her teacher was asking all the kids what they got for Christmas. And this one little girl was talking about how Santa Claus has gotten her all these things and how it's amazing and he's so great and he got her all these things. And my cousin was like, wait, you're got it all wrong. Santa Claus didn't get you those things, your parents got you those things. And so this little girl looks at her, she's like, no, Santa got me these things, he did. And my cousin's like, no, he didn't. She's like, yes, he did, back and forth, back and forth. And finally my cousin goes, or this little girl goes, yes, he did. My mom told me so. And my cousin looks at her, she goes, well, your mom's a liar. Ending the story, they ended up in the principal's office because my cousin had to cause a riot when all the kids were like, Santa's not real. So that brings me to my outline. Parents shouldn't tell their children about Santa Claus because it affects their perspective, their expectations, and it is harder to finance. So starting off with perspective, it changes the meaning of honesty. So, who is it? Dr. Nelvin, he's of Sinai Hospital in Baltimore. He has an article in a book written, and he talks about how when we're born, we mimic everything that our parents do. From the time we're born, we do the facial expressions our parents do, and we have the demeanors that our parents originally had. And he talks about how by age 1, we start to think psychologically the way that our parents do, and we do the things that our parents do. Which means a fundamental piece of life, if you're dishonest, your kids will most likely be dishonest. And it's not going to be dishonest in the singular idea of Santa Claus. It will be an over-resounding piece of their life. Well, if you're dishonest about Santa Claus, why can't I be dishonest about anything? I'm going to talk about disappointment. When people don't get the things that they thought they were, or when someone finds out that they're lying to them, disappointment strikes real hard. And it changes the way people look at ideas. That goes into my last point. Trust changes how people make choices. These two things go hand in hand. Dr. Ben Schmeiden, he talks about how people who have trust issues have often had significant negative experiences in the past with individuals or organizations that they initially deemed trustworthy. Then he goes on later in his book and he talks about the significant loss of ideas or perceived injustice at the hands of authority figures can cause strong feelings of mistrust toward people and institutions. With that, trust changes how people make choices. How that affects perspective, when people lie and things like that at a young age, and it's trauma when they find out the truth, it changes not only what they think about the person, but how they perceive the world as a whole. So that just creates the initial seed of mistrust. Now I want to talk about expectations. Expectations in general are hard to reverse. When you have your mindset about something, it's hard to be like, oh, it's okay, I thought things were going to go this way and they didn't. It's hard to be okay with the bar being set lower or changing at all. Unmet expectations can lead to unwanted situations. So here comes my excerpt from another personal documentation. There's a girl, her name's Jacqueline Schneider. I went to middle school with her, and one day we were in the locker room talking about Christmas, she told us a story about how she blackmails her parents into giving her more presents, some from Santa Claus and some from her parents, in order to keep her sister in the dark about how Santa Claus is not real. Lastly, I'm going to talk about the naughty and the nice list. Psychologically, Dr. Schmitty of Baltimore Hospital, he talks about how working one month of the year to get onto the nice list creates a bad habit in all children. It causes them to not understand the idea of hard work because the work is shortened. It is highlighted in 1 month or a couple weeks or a few days, and they miss the whole idea of hard work throughout the year. Lastly, I'm going to talk about finances. An excerpt from Josiah Lasala. He talks about how the idea of his parents and what he knows they sacrifice changes his whole idea of what thankfulness is. The idea that his parents would give up things so that he could receive, it just makes him so much more thankful and looks at his parents in a whole new way. I'm going to go to this bottom one. It says, other opportunities arise when finances are spent elsewhere. An excerpt from Daniela Boyd. She, instead of receiving presents from Santa Claus, her parents, even at a young age, decided that an education in the world is much more valuable than anything that they could ever get her. So instead of receiving presents from Santa and lying to her about that, she has the opportunity to travel to places like Hawaii, Mexico, France, Italy. I believe that she's going to Italy this summer, and that just proves the point that there are far more things that are worth than the lie of Santa Claus. Thank you.